The Princess of Wales.
Always.
Very welcome to see her. Now, this was a red dress.
By Sarah Burton.
It was described to me as a crêpe silk, if that is a phrase.
Very good, Matt.
Yeah. So this is the same designer as her wedding dress. I bet you knew that. Sorry, I've jumped in. I'm certain you knew
Please tell me.
that. This is your area. You love it. And she was wearing that beautiful tiara that I love seeing. Catherine and the tiara, the Queen Mary. It's the Lover's Knot tiara.
Yeah.
But also, we haven't seen her in a tiara since December 2023. But the last state banquet, I believe, was the month prior.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been quite some time, and it really is the most wonderful regal display when you see them all, walk out and they've got the white tie and the tiaras on. And she does add. She's a woman who does some amazing work. I love when we shine a light on that. But it just must be said, she really adds glamour. She really does. She turns up to these events and she looks spectacular.
And I love the small symbolic touches. Like earlier in the day, she was wearing Dior for the ceremonial welcome. But yeah, she looked great. And they were wearing, the ladies of the royal family were wearing the new royal order, the new family order, with a hand-painted portrait of the king. So she had the family order with Elizabeth, which she was wearing last night, but the new one is a hand-painted portrait of the king.
So that's the first time we've seen that.
I think it is, yeah. And Sophie and Camilla and others had it on as well.
Yeah, no, it was not say it's just a relief, but after everything that the Princess of Wales has been through lately, and then she didn't appear at Royal Ascot, we only got told a short time before the actual state banquet that confirmed that she would definitely be there. Is that the future? Is that what we have to expect now, Simon, as press and members of the public?
Yeah, I think so. And in fairness to Kensington Palace, they did say that at the very beginning. We're not going to announce stuff way in advance because there will be last-minute changes, there will be last-minute cancellations. Royal Ascot a few weeks ago was really hot. And I, completely get it that it may well have been that it was purely because of the temperature and, being outside for so long that was the decision. So they're not going to announce weeks in advance stuff that Catherine's doing. It'll be more the sort of last-minute stuff we've got used to in the last year or so. So if there is a cancellation, it's less of a big deal.
But she has warned us. She has said that, when she was at the hospital a couple of weeks ago, she has said that, her recovery for patients, it is quite difficult and give us patience.
Yeah, and temperature is relevant there. I mean, the temperature outside is relevant.
I did see, she looked, as we said, she looked fantastic, obviously, with her outfits yesterday, but also she looked relaxed and happy and healthy. But I've got to say, I do have that new sort of filter over it after hearing those comments she made last week when she talked about having to put on a brave face when you've finished treatment and you're just having to get on with it on days that maybe you don't feel up to it and it's hard to get back into routine. And again, it just adds that level of compassion where there will be days when she's not feeling as good as other days, but she turns up with a smile on her face. And it just adds that, hearing her talk about that, it just adds that layer when you see her out then on display.
Are we guilty of assuming that this is easy? Then that we're assuming that you're just in a carriage and you're just walking in having dinner, you're sitting next to Emmanuel Macron and making polite conversation. Are we wrong to think to assume it's not a difficult?
Well, they make it look easy. This is the thing. The difficulty with being very good at your job is when you make something look easy, people expect that maybe it is. But we were at Trooping the Colour. We've been we were at Ascot. When you cover royal events, especially they're out there for a long time. You get such a better sense of the fact that these are long engagements. Often the temperature plays a role which you don't really pick up on through TV or photos. And there are other elements at play. And I do think that she does it, as all the royals, the senior royals do. They do their jobs with so much ease and they do look so relaxed and happy. She's walking around in stiletto heels for hours. And let me tell you, that's not easy.
It's easy to get it wrong.
Yeah.
And she doesn't put a foot wrong, and she knows how many cameras are pointing at her and how many people are looking at her. And I think we all know people who have in our families who are recovering from cancer, and the idea that they would then be on public display in front of millions of people with lots of cameras pointing at her, we wouldn't want that happening to one of our relatives.
Absolutely.
If they were having a bad day, or even if they were having a good day. But that's what she's going through.
You pointed out earlier about the power of the king with soft power and getting on with Macron and delivering that speech and being very, very tactile. The Princess of Wales, Queen Camilla, Prince of Wales, they also had a vital job as well at this state visit. I mean, they were in the carriage. They met Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron at the airport. Maybe they'll do that for Trump, and then they took him to Windsor. I'm really interested to wonder what would be in that polite chit-chat. I know we have kind of lip readers trying to work out what they say, but they have to be on form the whole day with people like Macron's and when Trump comes along, don't they?
And they will have had briefings about exactly who's in the carriage with you and what they've done and what they're doing. And so, I think the royal family are probably world experts at this, of the small talk and without it, because there's so often they're having to do it. And a lot of the time it's with people who are terrified of meeting them, it's with that grimace as they meet them, or grin. So they're really good at the small talk. Catherine, we've seen her time and time again. She puts people at their ease. So, I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the world. It's not, obviously. But you're on public show, and just that in itself is pretty tough, I would have thought.
It isn't the actual movements of it aren't that difficult, but as you say, if you set one foot wrong or any minor thing occurs, the world's eyes are on you and it will be amplified. And
she was sat next to President Macron for the whole meal. What if she said something stupid? Because I would probably end up saying something stupid or embarrassing. So, oh, why have I said that? What if she torpedoed the whole visit? That's what I mean. It's more than just wearing a dress and walking out and sitting in a carriage.
It's constantly staying on. Never being able to relax, I don't think, fully in a conversation like that. I don't think she's ever, and she's always at work. It's a job. So you're sitting there and you're very focused on the things that you've been briefed on and what you should be talking about.
Now, they did get to have a lovely meal. It was I had sandwiches in the side room, but they had organic chicken and they had an Entente Cordiale cocktail. Do you know about this cocktail? I'll tell you about this cocktail. It was a combination of French and British ingredients. So it was British gin and lemon curd with French pastis, apologies if I said that wrong, garnished with, now wait for this, it was garnished with dried French cornflowers and English roses. Guys, is this flower sprinkles?
Flower sprinkles? Who knew?
Were the flower sprinkles at the state visit?
Meghan is ever present. She's found a way into the state visit. Flower sprinkles are getting a huge moment at the moment, it seems. We're always talking about them because of Meghan's as ever. And
well, this week on Instagram, we have seen a lot of Meghan's flower sprinkles. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she's put it on coffee. And very aptly, she's put it on a French toast on her As Ever website.
Right.
If you mentioned about something, this is putting flower sprinkles on your food and drink is a use of free will. What's going on here?
No, the coffee, honestly, I feel comfortable saying this, on behalf of all Australians, that's a crime. That is a crime. You cannot put flower sprinkles on a coffee. And also, why is it needed? I think fine. If you want to have it on dishes, where maybe on a dessert and it makes it look a bit prettier. I know some cakes have flowers and all of that. Why would you want it on your drink? Imagine taking that sip and having gritty bits in your mouth. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's going to stick to your lip as well,
yes,
isn't it?
I just don't... Why?
Isn't it just like chocolate on a cappuccino? I can't believe we're talking like this.